Hello everyone and welcome to I Know You Know, your one-stop knowledge sharing platform for all things careers, life after high school, as well as opportunities that are available to you. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. As you would have seen by the title, this video is about transferring universities. Shout out to Tolofelo and Nikita for requesting this video. And without any further ado, let's get into it. A lot of you don't know that you can actually transfer across universities. So the first question I'll be answering is, can you actually transfer across universities? And the answer is yes, you can. Now, what circumstances would you transfer? So people transfer for a lot of reasons. For some, it's got to do with finances. Maybe the university they want to transfer to has a little bit less fees than the current one. Others transfer because of geographical challenges and any other challenge that you might be facing, whether it's mental health or just a lack of a support system in the current university that you feel like you'd want to transfer to another university where you'll be better supported. There are many reasons why people transfer, but what's important and the things that you need to take note of when transferring are the following. Firstly, you need to ensure that the degree that you were doing is available at the university that you're going to. The reason I say this is when a lot of people transfer, their hope is not to start from scratch. They want to continue with whatever they were studying in the previous university. So the first thing you should be on the lookout for is that there's an equivalent degree in the institution that you want to transfer to. The reason for this is, and I'll speak about it later on in the video, when they account for your credits that you've already accumulated in the previous university, it's very important for the courses to be equivalent of each other for them to actually recognize those credits that you've already achieved in the previous university. The second thing you need to consider is the point of the degree at which you're at. So there is a general university law that says that for you to graduate at a particular university, you need to be at that institution for at least 2 years. This means that if you are studying for a 3-year-long program, the only chance you have for you to transfer is at the end of your first year. That way you can do the other 2 years at the new institution and therefore be able to graduate at the new institution. The other thing I want to discuss that you should consider is the fact that you can't transfer at any point of the year. This is because for you to transfer, the first step, and I'll also speak about this later on in the video, is that you would need to apply as if you're a new applicant that is just applying to go into the new institution. So there is not a special application procedure for people who are transferring. You in fact have to use the same application forms that would be used by anyone who is trying to get into the new institution. And this means that you would need to do this at the normal admission times of the university, or rather during the normal admission times of the university. So if this is an institution that takes people at the beginning of the year only, that's your only opportunity to get into such an institution. And I am aware that other institutions do have an intake at the beginning of the year as well as at the beginning of the second semester. So of course you would need to check with the institution that you are trying to get into when their intake is and when they can take you specifically for your program, because not all programs have intakes throughout the year, or rather in the first as well as the second semester. The most frequently asked question when it comes to people who want to transfer is their credits. Will my credits be transferred? So all universities do state that the credit transferal process is a very complicated and not a straightforward one. And so this is dealt with on a case-by-case basis. However, there are some guidelines which I'll get into now. The first one being that for you to transfer credits of a particular course, there has to be an equivalent course in the new institution that would be similar to the one that you've already done. What this means is that the content of the two courses must be equivalent. The weighting of the two courses must be equivalent, as well as the quality of the courses must be equivalent. Universities and institutions are quite strict on this part because at the end of your degree, you are supposed to have achieved a certain amount of credits. So if you get accredited for a course that you've done previously in a previous institution, but it's worth less credits, this means that at the end of your program, you will not be eligible to graduate, as you will have not achieved the right amount of credits for your entire program. This means that, and this is why they are especially strict with this accreditation process. The other thing is that the course/module that you want to be credited for in the new institution must be one that is actually recognized as being part of your degree that you'll be pursuing in the new institution. This means that it is possible that you might have done some courses or modules in the previous institution that the new program does not recognize as being contributors to the specific program that you study. Therefore, these cannot be accredited under any circumstances. Secondly, some institutions do have a cap on how many credits they can transfer for you. For example, WITS has a rule that says they can only transfer 50% of the credits of the new program. So be on the lookout for some of the guidelines and caps that different universities have on the amount of credits that can be transferred. One thing that is frequently listed on a lot of the university sites is that your transfer, admission, or acceptance is up to the discretion of the dean of the faculty you want to transfer to. So as I said, this is dealt with on a case-by-case basis and reasons may differ. So as much as there's almost a generic application process, etc., it is still up to the discretion of the dean based on your reasoning and also based on your situation. Lastly, when it comes to the credit process or the credit transferal process, something I think is important to highlight is the fact that the credit transferal process only happens when you are accepted or after you're accepted. This means that you can't have the process happen before for you to be sure how many credits are going to be transferred before you apply. And you can imagine that this is more for administrative reasons, because if everybody had their credit transferal process done before they even applied, that would result in actually quite a lot of people going through that very complex process for no reason for some of them. So what universities say is that your credit transferal process only happens just before registration. So this is just before you actually register for courses, and it makes sense that you actually know what courses you would need to register for, and therefore that's when your credit transferal process happens. Now, while this is a good thing from the university's perspective in the sense that they won't have to do unnecessary admin, it can be quite tricky for the applicant, because this means that you would apply and possibly go to the new institution without necessarily knowing how many of your credits will be transferred. And I will share some tips that I have for people who want to transfer, and part of those is to make sure you at least have an idea of which credits are going to be transferred. And how you can do this is by going on the university that you want to transfer to site and see what their credit transferal process looks like and what their rules are for transferring credits. But I'll get to this in the tips section. So at this point, you're probably wondering, so what is the process for transferring? The first thing you'd have to do is to apply to the new institution. This is done as if you are a new applicant that's going to start the program from scratch at this institution. And what this process helps with is to firstly see if you qualify to get into the program that you want to study for. And this is done by assessing both your matric results as well as your latest transcript from the current institution that you're in. And one thing I realized is that these institutions seem to be quite a lot stricter with transferring applicants than they are with first-time applicants, because what they say is that on your transcript from the previous institution, you must have not failed a course. That's one of the rules that some of the institutions have. And then others encourage you to even have more than just a pass, like marks 60% and above. And the reason for this is that they get quite a lot of transferal applications each and every year. So for you to make sure that you stand a great chance at being accepted at this new institution, you would actually need to be scoring high marks. For obvious reasons, they would prioritize the top achievers more than anything. So make sure that even though you're planning to transfer, make sure that you kind of try to get good marks so that you stand a better chance at being successful at transferring. Once you're accepted, you would then need to go through registration. But before you register, you need to go through the credit transferal process so that you know exactly which courses you would need to register for. So this is the part that differs a little bit from a new applicant, in that before you go register, you would then need to talk to the head of department, probably of your faculty, or whoever handles transferal processes in that faculty, in that institution. And this is information that you need to find out prior to this moment. What you would then do is have a conversation with this person where they compare all the courses that you've done in your previous institution and all the courses that you need to do in this current institution, and that's when they will compare the courses and see which course you can get accredited for. The way in which they transfer your credits is that they will actually look at a course you've done in the previous institution. Then they will look at an equivalent course that is required for your program or your chosen program. They will compare, as I said, the content, the quality, as well as the weighting. And what they will then do is put it on your record as if you have done that course, that equivalent course in the new institution. So meaning your final transcript of the new institution will have courses from the new institution only. This means that your final transcript from the new institution will only have courses from that specific institution, some of which you will have actually done at the institution, while others would have been equivalents of the ones you did in the previous institution. So that's how they transfer your credits, and that is why it's important to ensure that your courses are, or they are equivalent courses. Otherwise, you need to then be prepared to do a lot of courses and possibly have to extend your program if there aren't enough equivalent courses whose credits can be transferred. After you've gone through the credit transferal process, that's when you'll know exactly how many courses you are exempt from, meaning you don't have to do them and the credits have been transferred, and how many courses you actually have to do. And then with the guidance, of course, of the team that's there to register, they will help you plan your courses over the however couple of years are left of that program that you are pursuing. So yeah, then you would then register and you are successfully transferred. So that's how the transferal process works. I hope that this clarifies it. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask in the comment section below. Some tips I have for people who are looking to transfer in the near future. The first one, please speak to somebody in the new institution before you start the transferal process, i.e. before you leave the previous institution and you just jump ship. The reason for this is you need to know what to expect, first of all. Secondly, you need to know what the new institution's rules are for transferring, because as I said, different institutions deal with transferal differently, and even different faculties also deal with transferal differently. So you would need to actually speak to preferably a staff member of the new institution who can help guide you as to how the transferal process will work. Please note that I am not saying you must do the credit transferal process before, because it's not possible to do it, as I've already stated. Universities will not do the credit transfer process for you before you actually get accepted by the university. What I'm merely asking you to do is to just familiarize yourself with how the process looks and what is expected from your side in terms of a successful transfer. Secondly, familiarize yourself with the curriculum. What this means is look at the curriculum that you are going to pursue, i.e. the curriculum of the new institution, and then also look at the curriculum of the institution that you are currently in. Thereafter, compare the different programs and see where they are similar and where they differ. This will give you an idea of exactly how many credits will possibly be transferred. But what you need to do with this process as well is take note of the credit weighting as well when you're doing this. It might not be accurate because obviously you are not the faculty staff, but it will give you a bit of an idea of how many credits are going to be possibly transferred to the new institution, i.e. giving you an idea of how many years you have left in the program. For example, someone who did first year at a certain institution who wants to move to the next institution and is doing a 3-year program. If majority of the first year credits get transferred, they may only spend 2 years in the new institution, getting the rest of the credits they need for the program. However, if the new institution does not recognize a lot of the credits from the previous institution, i.e. maybe the credit rating is not equal, or they feel like the content is not the same, or they feel like they don't have a similar course at all to the courses that you did, then you might look at doing a full 3 years in the new institution, because you'd need to actually cover some of the first year courses or modules in the new institution. Thirdly, plan. As much as this video is more about the academic side of things and the process for transferring from an academic perspective, you would need to plan. What this looks like is you would need to plan things like, how are you going to transfer from the one university to the other, like logistically? So do you have the money to do so? Do you have res in the new institution? Those are some of the things you would need to consider. And I think sometimes when people transfer, they don't consider those things from the start, because the transfer process probably takes so much of your worry or your concern that you end up not actually planning the other things that you would have planned if you were a new applicant anyways. So make sure that you actually consider yourself as though you are a new student in the new institution, which I mean you are. Thus, you must consider things like where you're gonna live, do you have money to transfer, how you're gonna take your stuff from one place to the other. I know, for example, when I got to res, I bought some stuff like irons and kettles and all of those things that I felt like would be a lot to travel from home with. And now if I were to transfer to another university, I need to consider that I need to move with everything again. So you need to just plan adequately for your move, because it really is a move. Lastly, the tip I have for people who are looking to transfer is that you must be prepared. As much as you might have done university before, this is a new environment. So be prepared for a change of scenery, be prepared for a new environment, be prepared to be new again. This might be something that people don't really consider, because they maybe feel like they've already been at a university and it's not like they're coming straight from matric again, etc. But at the end of the day, you are new to the environment, and as with anything, you will need to adapt as well. So just be prepared for all those changes that you will be undergoing, both academically and socially. And there may be also changes financially as well, if the different institutions don't charge the same for fees, res, or just the living experience of the new area might be different to the previous one. So just be prepared for a change, and yeah, just be mentally ready. Just be mentally ready for the change beyond academics. Lastly, I actually almost forgot, funding. That's an important thing to consider. So some bursaries do allow people to transfer across universities, and this normally happens when the bursary already covers people from both institutions, i.e. if the bursary covers people from UNISA and WITS and you want to transfer between the two, you obviously need to communicate with them, but some bursaries don't mind you transferring, especially if you don't extend your years. So you would just need to then notify them of your transferal, and they will continue funding you in the new institutions. Some bursaries, however, are quite strict on the transferal process, where some of them don't allow any transfers, probably because it's quite a logistical nightmare for them to kind of now start funding a new institution. But the other reason is that your transferal might result in you adding on years, and some bursaries do not allow you to add more years than they were prepared or budgeted to support you for. And therefore, some bursaries do not allow people to transfer across universities at all. Then NSFAS, I think, does allow you to transfer, but you need to communicate in time and make sure you apply with them first as well during your transferal process. So bottom line is, whatever funding structure you're using, you need to communicate with your sponsor or your funder before you make the move, because the worst thing that you could ever experience is you getting to the new institution and then your funder or sponsor is not willing to continue paying for you because they don't approve of the transfer, or they do not cover the new institution. So just make sure that your affairs are in order when it comes to funding and your transferal process. With that being said, we have come to the end of the video. I hope that this video was very informative for you. I tried to cover all the points I thought were important and necessary for someone who's looking to transfer. However, if there's something that I've missed or you have an additional question, feel free to put your question in the comment section below. And if you're watching this and you've transferred before for whatever reason, feel free to also put some tips in the comment section below that you think might be helpful for people that are looking to transfer, whether it's like on the process or on how it is or on why you transferred. Maybe you want to share with people so that they can know under which circumstances they can actually transfer to a different institution. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are on road to 1,000. We're definitely on road to 1K, guys, and please share this with people you think it will be relevant for, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.